Welcome, Vestinia, and alongside me is...
DIFYM.
Alright then, let's get right to it, shall we? Here are the team compositions. I'm playing with Lena, who's playing as Coco. I'm playing as Admiral Swiggins, alongside a froggy bot. Against us is a team of human Leon, Anila, and Yuri. It's a 2v3, notably. I immediately get upgrades at the shop. It's the hook, one of my abilities, 2 damage upgrades, so both damage upgrades for the hook, and 1 pack of health regen.
And you're already getting into the action there, getting a pretty nice hook, but unfortunately, they get away. It would have been a very nice first kill there.
It's even worse that as we got to the action, we already down a turret. Look at the minimap. It's terrible. 2 of our turrets are heavily damaged and 1 of them is missing. They've been busy.
They have been busy while you're away. Against 3 bots, no less.
Pathetic.
So you're starting from very far behind, and you're still behind in terms of, the actual humans.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. They're also working together fairly well. They do not keep separating as I would like them to. Just focus them down.
But on the other hand, you do have an advantage that they potentially don't. You have a teammate that you're familiar with, the Coco, the Traylina.
Yes. And teammate I can rely on. She just took down Yuri. As Yuri took down our froggy bot. Oh boy.
Well, the Froggy bot is fairly useful as bait, potentially. Not the best bot to have on your side, but not the worst either.
I know the affection you have for Clunkbot. We all love him very much.
Well, he's a big bar of help that they need to get through.
Anyway, one thing the bots will able to manage before we have arrived is heavily damage the bottom turret.
Which you have taken care of at this point, and Yuri is in a very precarious position, and he paid for it.
I wasn't able to sustain myself in the wasn't able to suspend myself for long enough, but thankfully I could rely on Lena. That's the amazing part. Even though we only have 2 people, thankfully it's not solo queue. So I can rely on my teammate.
That was a fairly brutal and very efficient hook there.
Yeah, thanks. I was very nervous about that one as well, because the first hook landed on absolutely nothing. I was somewhat afraid that the things sitting on top of that platform was just a clone, so I kind of aimed at the L, but thankfully I wasn't able to secure the kill later on.
Yeah, and it's always the potentially very simple hooks that you tend to miss because, they unexpectedly jump and suddenly you don't secure a kill.
I don't know, dodging them on purpose requires amazing reflexes. More often than not, I'd say it's just me missing the hooks. Right, upgrade time. I get the tether and additional stun for my hook. The hook already has a stun, but this is half a second longer. And the tether helps in securing kills, look at this.
This tether, that was a wonderful tether there, and again, relying on Coco's mobility and damage.
Indeed. Once again, in some matches, especially in solo queue, you just have to handle matters yourself. And this is an example of the tether missing terribly. Thankfully, once I toss it out, I can arrange the attack, so I can secure kills some other way. And once I walk over the ankle, I can pick it back up again. I can also use the hook in order to move. I can aim it at walls, at ceilings, at the floors.
This is a great example of cutting someone's escape off there. You could have just chased him like a normal person would, but no, you decided to cut off his only other escape routes, whereas Coco chased him.
Yeah, one of the notable things about Yuri is that he can fly. It's one of the most important parts, but on this particular map, on Sorona, there really isn't much of a spot for him to hide in. So if he's just down there and I down him with the ankle, he can't really get away. It's also notable that you can destroy the ankle as you are tethered. So you can break it and you can get away.
Which Yuri is fairly good at because he has a laser beam which goes through targets, so even if you're blocking his route to the tether,
He can reach it anyway.
he can still destroy it.
But it needs to charge up to deal a significant amount of damage, and by the time he charges it up, if he hasn't already by the time you ankle him, the tether would have already broken on its own, so it doesn't matter. His bombs are a better way of dealing with it. He just drops a bomb on the ankle and then it goes away.
And now you're taking down the top turret potentially, and
Trying, but it's not gonna happen. They needed to respond. Once again, it's amazing that we can move so freely through the middle. Most of the time, if there's a Yuri on the team, he places bombs in the middle there. That doesn't go anywhere. he places bombs in the middle, in the bushes, so they are invisible. Once you drop down to them, you blow yourself up. If you try to use the jump pad at the middle of the map...
By the way, that was a very, very nice hook.
Yeah, I think that's maximum distance, or close to it anyway.
Yeah.
Also, here's the solar boss. I get distracted from taking it because I need to take care of Ida. I don't want her to steal the solar boss from me. That's one of the worst things that can happen.
But if you weren't distracted, you would have just spent, half a minute taking it.
It's worth it, and people don't do it enough. I'm honestly surprised. In most MOBA games, people understand the concept of jungling. In this case, there's pretty much a single map where you can actually do it in any reasonable way, aside from the tiny little thingies that give you health. There's the solar boss here. It gives you a lot of solar currency, and it also heals you to full when you kill it. Why don't people farm it is just beyond my understanding, probably incompetence.
Either incompetence or, fear of not being there when they're needed.
Yeah.
Because this is only 3 people. In most MOBAs where there's jungling aspect, there's 5 people.
Yeah. What was that Leon doing there, by the way? What was he hoping to accomplish?
Maybe he was waiting for the cooldown on his disappearing thing, decoy? Because that's the only logical reason he could possibly be up there, so he, disappears and GTFOs.
I don't think he even bought it. That's the most hilarious part. I don't think he has it yet. So it could have been a mistake, but I don't think it was so. By the way, we just melt that Yuri, don't we?
Yeah.
Especially with the extended stun, it just becomes trivial.
Yeah. Once Yuri loses his mobility, he is a sitting duck.
He can siege up a position with his mind, so you don't necessarily want to go anywhere near him. I will not be able to push because the minions are already dead.
And also, Isla was coming for you.
Yes.
Isla plus turret equals very often death.
I can be fairly tanky as Swiggins, so I can take quite a few turret shots. But in those sort of circumstances, I wasn't going to risk it. I couldn't have taken it down before dying anyway. And with enemy heroes potentially on my tail, it was a no-go.
Also, I would like to point out that now you have a structural advantage. You have 3 turrets where they have only 2. So you've clawed back an advantage despite being behind in terms of humans and despite having been behind so far in terms of turrets.
Yes, we've been able to turn things around. Upgrade time! I get breakage damage and some attack speed. Basic attack speed. It works on both of my weapons, by the way.
Yeah. Also, music.
Killing spree. Yes. I think it's time to farm, isn't it? Killed someone, clearly time to kill a solar boss. I also leave it for my teammate to heal and get the solar.
Yes, because you know she can make use of it.
Indeed.
So there's that fairly big advantage, and also you can collect farm from other stuff. Collect talent.
Like in any decent relationship, trust is the name of the game. As you can clearly see, when the anchor breaks, it deals damage. But there are 2 upgrades I quite like as far as the anchor is concerned. When it deals damage as the anchor breaks, which is inevitable because...
It will break. It's either going to break due to damage dealt to it, or it's going to die because of time constraints.
Clearly, yes. Anyway, the other upgrade deals damage as it is connected, so it's then in your best interest to keep it up as long as possible.
Yes, buying upgrades such as health for the tether is quite advisable if you're going that route.
It's the high risk, high reward round. With breakage, we are guaranteed that bit of damage to be applied no matter what. With damage over time, the payout potential is bigger, but so is the risk. Upgrade time. Some more attack speed. Swinging that ankle can be quite deadly. Also, Leon is 0.6 at this point. He's not having a good day.
Yeah, he really should be targeting either the bot Froggy or the Coco, and should be doing that so covertly, but he has not been able to do that yet.
Yeah, he's mostly been focusing the tank, or should I say the bruiser, which is arguably the last thing you want to do as a squishy assassin.
Yes, in most situations at least. Unless you have so much damage that you can burst down even a tank.
Yeah.
At that point, you could just stomp your enemies and don't give a shit.
Well, that's the exception that just confirms the rule, isn't it? At that point, if you can do anything, then yes, absolutely. If the tank is, or the bruiser is so low on health that you can just gank him, then yes, obviously. But also, no, look at him.
At least you showed up. You didn't really do anything in that fight, but you participated in moral support.
Indeed. Once again, the Tether is a nice thing. It didn't necessarily secure that kill because I had Coco to trust here and rely on. Who's legendary, by the way, so she has gotten quite a few kills already.
As the only human assassin, one would expect her to get quite a few kills there.
Obviously.
It's still quite a bit of damage to the turret, but not quite destroying it.
It's time to go back. More Tether breakage damage. Rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yes, tether breakage damage.
Oh look!
You see Leon taking the health there.
Yes! And that's what I go back to try and stop him. I toss out the tether and it hits in the air. Magnificent. But even though I have a ranged attack.
Most of the time you want to use your tether at point blank range, because at that point it's very reliable to hit. But sometimes you just gotta toss it at range and hope it sticks.
Now the bad part is that I lost track of Leon. He went right back to try and...
Backdoor.
Yeah. He tried to teleport away, but there was just not enough time. He wasn't gonna make it. Also, as you might have noticed, the hook can hit on its way back as well. Now, I'm not going to be able to pursue Yuri, but thankfully, once again, I can rely on Coco. She's great!
Also, Isla, what the hell is she trying to do there?
She was trying to get away, but it was not possible. One of the turrets has gone down, unfortunately.
So yeah, the top turret is destroyed, and they can now have access to the main thing, the core.
They have structural advantage once again. They have 2 turrets, we only have 1. The turret we have, granted, has a lot more health, but it's just 1 turret versus 2. The path to the base isn't open yet.
And with Leon having his decoy and invisibility, he can just walk right up to the core uncontested and just destroy it if you don't notice him quickly enough.
Yes, it's a common strategy.
Instead of doing that, Leon tries to kill the tank.
Yeah, he tried to ambush me for whatever reason. He probably has noticed that I was relatively low on health, but failed to gauge it properly. I wasn't that low on health. Anyway, upgrade time.
5 bags of gravel.
Yes, bags of gravel. 2 batches of basic attack damage. On both of the weapons, as you might recall. That was nice, wasn't it?
Yes. So yeah, the two Swiggins abilities are very powerful on their own, potentially, but they are so much more powerful if you use them in tandem.
Yes.
Hooking them and then tethering them.
Now notice the fact that I had to get away, because Yuri dropped a bomb on me. I think he invested all of his upgrades, or at least most of his upgrades, in bomb damage. And as tanky as I am...
Whereas you invested in damage and stuns and
Yes.
so on.
Yeah, I haven't invested in health. So I had to get away, otherwise I would have perished in a very silly fashion.
Yeah, you would have been kited to death at that point.
That Leon, though, shouldn't be doing things this way. He's an assassin, and he has invisibility. He should try to gank people. He should try to be more subtle about things. Also, have I mentioned the mines hidden there? That's one way to clear them, I guess.
With your face.
Yes.
Yes. At least you didn't go up the jump pad and probably just end up killing yourself that way.
Do note the fact that we have been going through the jump pad multiple times, and it hasn't been an issue so far because Yuri wasn't able to set up properly.
Well, yes, you generally have control of the middle bits most of the time. The one time you ceded control is the one time he put mines there.
Yes.
So map control is very important in this map against a Yuri.
And quite a few maps, actually. It's mostly the central position that he can siege up.
Yes.
But since we're not leaving him pretty much any room to breathe, he's helpless. And thus, well, in a much better position than we probably would have been otherwise. It seems like smooth sailing, but it really would have been a completely different situation had he been able to siege up positions, so to speak. I proceed over here to attack. I probably shouldn't have done that because my teammate is not with me and the bottom turret is still up, so I can't escape easily through the... I dodge Isla's shot and I will not jump into the mine, but other than that, I'm outnumbered.
At this point, you have to fight because you can't really get away from that.
Yes.
The bottom path is blocked by turrets.
Yeah, I try to get away, but I don't have enough vertical movement to be able to accomplish that, so I eventually fall to Isla's evil eye.
Yeah, you could have potentially used your hook to get up there, but
It's very difficult to do that if you don't have any ceiling to hit. Anyway, I get movement speed to be able to jump properly, and I get the tiny health upgrade, which adds health to both me and my ankle. This was back in the day when it actually worked that way. Later on, I think they fixed it so the ankle had a bit less health and it was more manageable. There's still a dedicated upgrade that gives the ankle health, which is, once again, a nightmare to deal with if you want to break the ankle prematurely, which you mostly do.
Most people want to do it because they want their mobility back.
Yes, they don't just want to be tethered. Of course, if a team is disorganized and doesn't take care of matters properly, it doesn't matter how long you are tethered, because pretty much no one is trying to kill you. But that shouldn't happen, obviously.
At this point, you're just worried about Leon backdooring, and you're just patrolling the sites.
We wouldn't want to lose like this, would we? It would just feel awful.
Yeah, that would be an embarrassing way to lose.
After all this effort we have gone through, one very important note. Bottom turret finally down, so at this point we can get away easily. Our base is under attack,
Yes.
but as Lina goes back to defend, I try to attack.
Yeah, generally speaking, you want at least one person defending and one person attacking to put pressure on them. Otherwise, if you're just defending,
Leon up there.
you're fighting a losing battle. Well, Leon's around. There's his clone.
Yes, I've spotted him there because he picked up the health, but other than that I was not able to pinpoint his location, thus he escaped.
Also, not about defending against backdooring. Having a bot in your team doesn't help matters because you can't really coordinate with the bots. They just do what they do.
Unfortunately. But I can coordinate with my teammate.
Yes, which you are doing.
She's obviously worried about Leon backdooring, which is the concern I also have.
Yeah. At this point, it's better if she puts pressure on them because she does have more damage potential, whereas you have more tankiness and can just stand in front of the core.
By the way, as I announced the thing, everyone else attacks but this guy. Also, I do not fall into the mines by some miracle at that point. I just hover over them, like the squid I am.
And Isla made a huge mistake.
That tends to happen.
She kept her bubble thing for way too long.
See, that's the thing, it allows her to fly, and her only path of escape was up. Trying to fiddle and trying to jump on the pad and then wait for it to ascend would have been a death sentence. But so was using her rage, apparently. You get into situations like this at times where you only have two bad options.
And the job of your opponent is generally to give you only those bad options and not give you any good ones.
Indeed.
Yeah, Leon can only come through here. That's his only path of attack, since the bottom turret is alive.
The bottom turret is still standing, and my range of my attack and the sweep of my attack is such that he will not get past me like this.
Yes, he doesn't have a dash, he doesn't really have any way to... I mean, he could sneak through if he sees your pattern and potentially do something about that.
I doubt it. I would notice it at some point, almost certainly.
Also, Leon is not actually trying to backdoor, he's just defending.
Well, at that point we need to attack in some way, otherwise it's going to be just a standoff.
At this point, you're just giving them a chance to win. You're giving them breathing space. A 2v3 here, potentially very dangerous, but they don't really have any cohesion. They don't have a tank, they don't really have a healer.
Indeed, they have a support, but they don't have a healer. However, they can put mines everywhere.
But in terms of a team fight, that's often not that relevant. Yuri's mines prevent a good team fight from happening if he's uses them properly, but in a fight, not necessarily that useful.
You can drop them on your head, but that's never happened. Anyway, I took some more attack damage.
Attack damage is pretty good.
Quite a nice thing to have.
Especially when you're in this sort of position. Oh,
Well, in this sort of position it doesn't matter.
yes, victory has been attained.
So to recapitulate, we've won a 2v3 that we started behind in.
Yes, these people were just farming 3 bots before you guys came in. Yeah, pretty pathetic from their parts, really. They could have done a lot more.
But they didn't. Thanks for watching, people, and you will see us elsewhere.
Goodbye.